I'd like to welcome to Head Kick Audio Evan, the tiny dancer Arredondo. He fights next on June 25th over at AKA 16. That's American Combat Alliance. And this is going to be up a division. Traditionally, you fight at 35, but the opportunity presented itself at 45. Before we get into anything else, why take the opportunity at 45?
I have some goals that I wanted to accomplish by the end of the year, right? Originally I wanted to get 4 fights in by the end of the year, but I wasn't active the previous few months, so I knocked it down to 3. So I just wanted to get this fight in, hopefully walk away with a victory and then move on to the next 2 fights. Yeah, so it's 3 fights, 3 victories. So I'm sitting at 4-0 by the end of the year, going into next year. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now is this something you and your camp decided, we're not getting any opportunities at 35, so let's see what's out there at 45, or did this just, happen?
Yeah, it just sort of happened. My manager, Chris, hit me up and he was like, hey, man, there's a show that right around the corner. I know you're trying to fight in June. Would you mind going up to 45? And I said no. So I'll take the fight at 45, no problem.
That's fucking gangster, sir. That is fucking gangster.
Thanks.
All right. So tell me about the opponent. What does he do well, and what do we got to keep an eye
on? Well, to be honest, I don't really know much about the opponent. There's not too much footage of him fighting. His last fight was about 2 years ago, and I think his last fight was a loss for him. It looks like he doesn't do too well with pressure, and also, so I think what I'm gonna have to do is get on him with some pressure for sure, but also just create a lot of problems for him as far as positioning goes. Just position myself in weird spots. He likes to come forward a lot, so just working a little bit of positioning for him. He's got a really good jab. He's got a pretty good jab, and he likes to throw a low kick a lot. So I think this camp, or not I think, but what I've been doing for this camp is just erring on the side of caution, going over different ways to deal with his jab, and just making sure I'm out of position for that low kick or ready to defend it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 4-0 as an amateur, 1-0 as a pro. So we're undefeated. We've got, I believe, 4 finishes, correct?
3 finishes, yeah.
3 finishes. The last win over Dylan King was a submission in the first round, a rear naked choke, if memory serves me correctly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In the main event over at Sparta. So tell me about the experience of, fighting for your first time as a pro and getting the victory in pretty dominant fashion.
Yeah, man, it was a pretty cool experience. What I did to get the fight was I just hit Sparta up on Instagram, and I was like, give me your best fighter at 35. And they gave me Dylan King. And so I had about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks to prepare for that. But I train all the time. I train 6 days a week, 2 to 3 times a day, pretty much year round. I pretty much live in the gym. So, getting ready for a short notice fight wasn't really a big issue for me. So, yeah, I knew he was a really tough guy. I knew he had a bunch of finishes. He's got really good power. He's a good pressure fighter. He's got a guillotine, a nasty guillotine. So, I thought it was going to be a super, super tough fight. I thought it was going to go all 3 rounds, and I was going to have to be carried out of the cage. That's sort of just what I was expecting. I mean, that's what I expect for all of my opponents. I expect them to be really, really good. So yeah, expecting to be carried out of the cage, but went in there, man, and I just didn't really have any sort of expectations. I was just I'm gonna do my best, and then whatever happens, right? And I guess what that allowed me to do was just be free, be in the moment, and it almost felt like I wasn't really even in control of my own body when I was fighting that fight. I just was on the passenger side, along for the ride. So that's during that fight, that was kind of the weirdest thing ever, because I never really experienced that before. But yeah, man, like after getting the victory, it felt really good. It was kind of cool, to take the fight on short notice, especially during like a pandemic. Just saying like, fuck it, just go after it, and yeah, that's pretty much it, no risk, no reward. So yeah, there it is.
Absolutely, man. That whole thing is just got Gangster. I had to remember how to spell gang, but damn, that is fucking cool, man. I mean, taking charge, and getting the fight yourself is like one of the fucking coolest things you could do. I mean, when I was fighting, that was the only way to do it. So to see, younger fighters today still, getting after it, that's fucking cool as hell. And then, the short notice aspect of it, again, gangster. Okay. And then, it being the main event, I mean, I'm pretty sure you weren't looking for that and you got it anyway. And then you get it done in the first round. You submit the guy. So, damn. I mean, that's got to feel pretty fucking good.
Yeah, definitely does. But to be honest with you, man, I was just looking at it as like any other fight. It didn't really matter to me if it was like main event or if there was a crowd, no crowd, or whatever. There are things I want to accomplish, and that was just one of the stepping stones. So all the other factors that were a part of it didn't really matter a whole lot to me.
Okay, so now the question that I've been dying to get to, Tiny Dancer. Okay. It is one of the more intriguing nicknames I have heard, and I've interviewed, a couple hundred, if not thousands of fighters already. And Tiny Dancer is definitely not the norm. It's not the pit bull. It's not the sniper, the assassin. Okay. So explain the nickname to me. How did you come to acquire it?
Man, I wish there was a cooler story. But there isn't. I wish there was like a story where like, oh yeah, I was at this party or I was at this, I don't know, whatever event. I just started breaking it down in front of the boys. But that's not how it went. When I first started out training, I really looked up to Dominic Cruz, and I tried to like emulate his style of footwork. And so I didn't even know like how to study him. I just saw how he was moving, and I just moved like that, and it looked like I was like dancing more than I was actually like fighting. And my coaches would always make fun of me for it. They would just like trash me, during the sparring days. They're like, "Oh, you think you're Dominic Cruz, blah blah." And anyway, so I asked my coach. I was like, "Hey, do you think I'm ready for a fight?" And Coach Blake Taylor from Gracie Raleigh, I asked him for a fight, and he was like, "All right, cool, I'll hook you up." And I met this dude, Trevor Hayes, who ended up becoming my striking coach later on. And Trevor Hayes is working for this organization called Bull City Brawl, and they were gonna, organize a fight for me. And I think I don't know exactly like.
And we are back with Evan Arredondo. Some phone issues, but here we resume. You were in the middle, so let's just go ahead and restart the story of the Tiny Dancer, how you acquired the nickname. You were telling me that, in training, you were trying to emulate Dominic Cruz in a way, and the coaches were making fun of you, of course, as they should, right? And you asked for a fight, and that's about where we left off. So go ahead and continue from there.
Oh yeah, so I asked my coach Blake for a fight, and he knew this guy named Trevor Hayes, who was working for this organization called Bull City Brawl in Durham, North Carolina. I think he was like a matchmaker. So Trevor swung by the gym to like train with me, and we did a class together. And he was like, yeah, so you're looking for a fight, blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, man, I want to fight. He's like, all right, cool. Well, give me a couple of days and I'll get back to you. And so I don't know if it was Trevor's idea or Blake's idea, but what they were going to do is match me up with somebody. And then the day of the fight, they were going to have the ring announcer announce me as Tiny Dancer without me knowing. So, yeah, so if I remember that correctly, yeah. And but like the fight didn't happen. I think what had happened was like my opponent pulled out for whatever reason. And so anyway, just kept training. And I linked up with Trevor Hayes, and I asked to get some striking work in with him. And he invited me to a training session. Well, actually, a sparring session. He invited me over to a sparring session at this gym that he was working at. I showed up, and then the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, hey, it's Tiny Dancer." And then since then, like people have been referring me to Tiny Dancer. To this day, people don't even like, mention my name. They're like, "Oh, Tiny Dancer." Um, Even people will like sing that lyric, "Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer." And dude, I fucking hate that song, dude. I fucking hate that song. It's the most like, it's so annoying. But man, like I decided just to keep the nickname initially because I never used it for my amateur career fighting. And I wasn't gonna have a nickname, but then I don't know. I just like thought about it twice, and I just thought about like where I started, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep Tiny Dancer. It's fun. It's fun. It's funny, and I don't know. I think it fits too. So yeah.
It's definitely unique, right? And in this sport, having something unique about yourself is extremely important, especially when it comes to having people remember who you are. You know what I mean? Because a lot of, organizations, at least, in the regional scene, they still allow you to do the banners and the walkout shorts and stuff like that. But having something extra so that when you make it to the big leagues where they have these uniforms and shit like that, when they hear Tiny Dancer, everyone goes, Tiny Dancer? Really think? And you know what I mean? It sticks with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the first thing I thought about when I saw it was like Tiny Dancer. That is different. That is definitely different. So,
Yeah.
and it's cool to hear the story. And again, you can never give yourself a nickname. You have to be given. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
the
for
fact
sure,
that you,
for sure,
the fact that
100%.
we stuck with it, right? Gangster, like gangster, 100%.
Thank you, man.
So I loved hearing the story about how you got the nickname. But what got you into fighting?
Man, I always knew that I wanted to fight. I think I was super young, man. I think I was like around like 8, 9 years old. I saw like my first UFC fight at like some get together that my parents were going to, and they just like brought me along because there were gonna be like other kids. And it was a Hoist Gracie Matt Hughes fight that I watched, and I was like, oh man, that's cool. Like I wanna do that. For whatever reason, I was just like, I want to do that. I had begged my parents to like put me in martial arts, but they never did. So like the way I got started in martial arts was through wrestling. There was this I was in North Carolina, and there was this kid in my neighborhood who hung out with like older kids. He was around my age. He was about a year older than me, a grade above me. He hung out with like older kids, like high schoolers, and they would teach him how to wrestle, and then they convinced him to wrestle. So he would like show whenever we would hang out, he would show me like some moves and shit. And we would just like wrestle in the backyard and shit. And then I was like, all right, like I guess that's how I'm gonna learn how to fight. Is like when I get into high school. I think I was in middle school at the time. When I get into high school, I'm gonna join the wrestling team and wrestle just to learn how to fight, not to wrestle because I want to wrestle, but to fight. And so that was when I was in 7th grade when I first got introduced to wrestling. And then in 8th grade, my buddies would actually, my mom, she got my dad a gift for Father's Day. It was like a pair of like UFC gloves and like a pair of mitts. And it was just like something for like me and my dad to do together. And so me and my buddies like took the UFC gloves. I had a pair. My buddy, I think Drew, had a pair at the time, and we would just throw them on and just beat the shit out of each other with them. And then so we would just beat the shit out of each other. We'd host like these little like get-togethers. Like we would invite like friends from like other schools or like from school or whatever, and we just like meet up in my backyard and just beat the fuck out of each other. And my parents, like it was like a regular thing. Like my parents would be coming home and there's these kids fighting in the backyard. So I think it was 8th grade year. My parents came up to me and they're like, "Hey man, we're gonna go ahead and put you into wrestling." So then I started wrestling in 8th grade, and then when I got into high school, I joined the wrestling team, and then from there I met this dude named Jared Miller who used to fight. I don't know if he fights anymore. He was training MMA in like the off season of wrestling. He wrestled pretty much the same reason why I wrestled, was to fight. And so I went to train with him at like somebody's backyard. He was like, some dude had a trailer in their backyard, right? And you go into like this trailer and it's got like mats and it's got like a bag here, and then dudes would just go in, do a fucking CrossFit workout for a warm up, and then beat the shit out of each other for the next hour. So I was like what, 15 years old, like training with like grown ass men, get my shit pushed in by grown ass men. So I did that a couple times in the off season, finished wrestling, and then the first thing I did when I was done wrestling was just look for a martial arts academy to train at. And I found Gracie Raleigh in Raleigh, North Carolina. Brandon Garner owns that gym. And yeah, I told him I wanted to sign up and I wanted to fight. And he was just like, whatever, dude. He's like, get away from me. And I just like showed up the next day and continue showing up. And then, yeah, now we're here.
Okay, man, that's kind of like true to how a lot of people get started, though.
Yeah.
It's like, some crazy story about like, oh, I saw fighting, and so I tried it myself. The story doesn't always go the same. And 9 times out of 10, they're not fighting grown-ass men. But, that's traditionally how, most people get started early on. And you've made the transition from wrestling to MMA really well. Again, undefeated, 3 finishes out of, all your 5 fights. And now you're training over at Elevation Fight Team, which is another thing that I wanted to get to, which is probably one of the fucking scariest places you could want to train at. I mean, there are absolute murderers. They're not killed. They are murderers in that gym. So why don't you go ahead and talk about, how you got to Elevation Fight Team and who are some of these guys that are, keeping you honest early on in your career?
Yeah, man, fucking Elevation Fight Team is scary. Like I go in on the sparring days and I'm like, fuck, dude. Like I don't want to do this shit. But anyway, yeah, so man, so I took a break from fighting when I was in amateur for a long time, and then I saw like some dudes who had just joined the gym. They were like, I don't know, I think they had like 6 months of training in. They're gonna pick up some kickboxing fights, and they're all training really consistently together with this guy who was working at the gym at the time. His name is Duke Dupre. He was like teaching kickboxing classes or Muay Thai classes at Gracie Raleigh. And then so I was watching these guys train and I was like, man, like I can still whip these guys' asses, And I wasn't even training, striking or anything. I was just doing jiu-jitsu. That's it. I just took a break from fighting and just wanted to do jiu-jitsu only. Anyway, so that got me back into fighting. And so then I was training for a fight. Fight didn't happen. My opponent had like some medical issues or whatever. And so I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just like continue training. And then like one day, my dad came up to me. He was like, hey, man. So I was living with him at the time. He came up to me at the house. He was like, hey, man, so what are you doing with yourself, And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just training. I was training, teaching classes, and then officiating grappling tournaments with U.S. Grappling. And I was like, I'm just, doing that. And he was like, okay, well, you still live with me. So you're either going to like get out or you're going to like start paying me rent. And I was like, okay, whatever. He was like, I was like, I guess I'll just move. But I guess like he didn't want to kick me out. He just wanted to know what I was doing with my life. And that's like sort of his style of like, figuring me out. Anyway, we had a serious discussion and I told him like what I wanted to do was I wanted to fight professionally. I want to be a world-class athlete. And for whatever reason, I think I can become a UFC champion. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to say that because, I don't know, like I'm not cocky or anything like that. I don't think so. I don't know. I think I can do it. So I told him that. But I wasn't really doing that because I was also trying to go to school at the same time, studying criminal justice. And I was only going to school to please my parents and my family and stuff like that. But what I really wanted to do was actually, fight and take that seriously. So he was like, well, you don't really have much time left in your 20s, you know, like now is pretty much the time. So you should probably figure out something, you know, like you should probably, you know, figure out a way to take this seriously and then go, you know, all in. So I was like, all right. So I came up with this idea that, you know, I was going to leave North Carolina and train with the best MMA academies. And so what I did was I came up with this plan. This plan, it was like this like 4-month trip where I was going to go to New York City and train at Renzo Gracie and Manhattan, train with those guys. They had like some really good guys coming in and out. They're not known for MMA, but you know they do have guys coming in and out of there that are really good. And then TriStar in Canada, and then I wanted to train with TJ Dillashaw, wherever he was. So anyway, I go on to this journey. I'm in Manhattan training with those guys, and there's this dude named Mark Marrero, who's a part of the Renzo Gracie Muay Thai team. I met him and told him what I was doing, and he was like, "Hey, man, you know, one of my friends trains in Colorado. His name is Corey Sanhagen. Why don't I connect you with him?" And I was like, okay, cool." And I didn't even really know who Corey was at the time, and he just said that he was like a UFC fighter, and I was like, "Oh, cool, UFC fighter, whatever, you know." And he was like, "When you're ready to, you know, go over to Colorado, just let me know so I can reach out to Corey and then let him know about you." So I was like, "All right, cool." So fast forward a couple months, I'm in Canada and TriStar, and I have like a week left there, right before I head over to Colorado. So I reach out to Mark. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm getting ready to leave Montreal. I'm gonna head over to Colorado. Can you let Corey know that I'll be in the area?" And he was like, "Okay, cool." So then he told Corey, and then he was like, "Hey, man, go ahead and reach out to Corey." So I reached out to Corey, and then Corey was super nice. He was like, "Yeah, man, like, you know, come train with us. Whenever you're in Denver, just let me know." I get to Denver. I spent like a couple weeks in Denver, like about like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, just hanging out because I was nursing a rib injury. I broke my rib over in TriStar sparring with those guys. It was rough, but anyway, when I was feeling good, I hit Corey up and I was like, "All right, man, I'm here. You know, let's do this." And he invited me over to the Elevation Fight Team wrestling practice. So I show up to the academy. I see Corey, right, and then this was really cool. He invited me, and then he partnered up with me too. To make sure I had a really good experience. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever in the entire world. I was like, "Man, this guy's so awesome." And that really made like a big impact. And so anyway, I train with those guys. I go home and I decide to like look Corey up. And then the first fight I saw was with him and that Brazilian dude where he's in a triangle. The guy's like pounding his face in, and he gets out and beats the shit out of him. And I was like, "Oh shit, this guy's legit, man." So I was like super excited. Anyway, spent like a month and a half training over there just to see, you know, just to get an idea of what it's like training over there. And man, I really loved it, man. Like everybody was super cool. Everybody was on like the cutting edge of like technique. You know, we have a bunch of coaches, and then, you know, a bunch of training partners, which was what I wanted. I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to be pushed and challenged like every single day, you know. And so I thought it was like, you know, the perfect mix of everything. So I went back home to North Carolina to take care of a couple things, and then I came back to Denver and just been here since. So yeah, that's pretty much how I went.
Okay, so you train with Corey, right? Before knowing who he really is.
Yeah.
And then you look him up and you're like, "I was fucking mixing it up with this guy."
yeah.
Did he take it easy on you? Did he take it easy on you?
No, he didn't take it easy on me, man. He never takes it easy on me. But when we were training, man, I was like, "Damn, man, this guy's pretty good." Like, you know, but I didn't really like think anything of it. I was just like, "Oh, this guy's really good." You know, great. This is exactly what I wanted. And then I looked him up, and I was like, "Oh, fuck, this guy's really good." Yeah.
And to see where he's at now, he's going to actually be fighting TJ Dillashaw. You know what I mean? So
insane, right? Yeah.
pretty fucking wild, you know, exchange of events. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the only reason why I wanted to train with TJ Dillashaw was just because he was a UFC champion. So I was like, oh, that's a UFC champion. I'm gonna go train with that UFC champion. Same reason why I went to train at TriStar. Oh, GSP champion was over there. I'm gonna go train over there. So I was looking for TJ, but I ended up at Elevation, and I'm so happy that I ended up at Elevation, man. Like, I'm super grateful, and it's like kind of crazy looking back at it. Like, damn, like, how did I even like end up getting here in the first place? It's just I guess everything like played out the way it was supposed to play out. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, if you're one of those everything happens for a reason types, I mean, obviously, I think that the guys you were training with up in New York, they saw something. Otherwise, I don't think they're reaching out to freaking Corey Sandhagen, who will be the next bantamweight champion in the UFC. Just letting you know how I feel about the whole situation, right?
Yeah, no, he is. He is. Pretty soon, everybody's gonna know what's up. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's the real
So,
deal.
but like during your journey, I mean, people had to have seen something that led them to believe that you needed to get where you need to go. Because it's not just, oh, hey, I know this UFC athlete. I'm gonna go send you. Like, they have to know that there's something special about the individual that they're sending across the country to go train with in our sport, one of the best guys in the fucking world. You know what I mean? It's like, in baseball. Now, mind you, I don't watch a whole lot of baseball, so I'm gonna use some really old references. My age might show here, but if you're a pitcher, they're gonna send you over to Arizona so that you can train with Johnson and Schilling. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy. They had to have seen something that led them to believe that I have to help this guy get to where he needs to go, and very promising. Okay, still undefeated. Again, we're just dipping our toes into the pros. Okay. I like that, right? So we're just getting our feet wet right now. We're about ankle deep. We're about to have our second fight here, and I mean, it just seems like everything is kind of lining up the way that it needs to line up to get you to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And honestly, man, like I'm just doing it just to see if I can do it, and that's it. Like, I'm just curious. I just want to see if I can do it. I think I can. So I'm just gonna give my best effort. But man, if it doesn't work out, then like whatever. Like, I'm pretty confident in myself. I know I can do really well in other areas, outside of fighting. So, to me, man, it's just a fun journey. That's it. That's all it is. It's just a fun journey. I do take it very seriously, but at the same time, like I said, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. But I'm pretty confident that it'll work out the way it's supposed to. So yeah, I'm really excited for the future.
Well, and you can't predict the future, so that's a great way, of thinking about it. It shows me that mentally you're prepared for whatever outcome happens, whether it's Dana White, strapping a belt around your waist, or getting an injury and not being able to compete ever again. Somebody's gone through that. You know what I mean? So everybody, when they start fighting, imagines themselves as the UFC champion. You know what I mean? Fortunately for me, I had a lot of things get in my way before I seriously got hurt. Because when you start to think about it, you're like, okay, I have to fight guys like Dominic Cruz, at the time, Eduardo Dantas. You know what I mean? And you just start thinking about all these guys who are around your weight class, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think, maybe if I had like a knife or a gun or something, I could win for sure. But these guys were savages, and so luckily it just didn't work out for me. But it seems like everything really is working out for you, and I'm pretty like stoked about it. You know what I mean? Stoked to see you fucking not taking it like over seriously, like not letting it consume you, because if, especially since you're undefeated, if it consumes you the way that it does some people, that first loss is gonna fuck you up.
Yeah. I've been defeated before, man. Like, I have like what is it? 5, 6 Muay Thai fights. Like, I've been defeated before. I've lost countless, wrestling and jiu-jitsu matches. Like, defeat is nothing foreign to me, man. So I lose in the gym all the time. Like, I'm not afraid of it. So yeah, like, that whole like being undefeated and like, you know, having a bunch of promise, like it doesn't consume me. It's not my identity. I don't really put any value in it. You know, me personally, I don't consider myself like a fighter, you know. I consider myself like a martial artist, and I'm in this because I actually love martial arts. And, you know, one of the ways to make a living through this is, well, through competing, and I do love competing too. So, you know, it's really more about like the test and the science behind martial arts, and like the whole process it takes to start a camp and then finish the camp, and then the outcome. That's why I'm in it, you know, not necessarily for the identity. I feel like a lot of guys are in it for the identity of being a fighter because it's a little bit different, which is, to me, it's kind of boring. And it's just like, you know, played out. But yeah, man, for me, it's just all about, I guess, passion and just curiosity. And that's it. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I just love the way you're going about the whole thing mentally, because a lot of guys don't go through it that way. And then there's, you know, when it doesn't happen, well, their whole world falls apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the whole being undefeated thing too, like it consumes a lot of guys. And when they have their first loss, you know, they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And it's just like, fuck, I lose all the time. My kids are smarter than me, so I'll lose at tic-tac-toe, buddy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can't dwell on that too much, because eventually it will go away. And you know, in some instances it doesn't. You know, there are Mayweathers and Khabibs out there, but you know, for everyone else, you know what I mean, we're gonna lose. So I mean, it's part of the sport, and it's part of the journey too, because that first loss is gonna make you that much better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So, how did you team up with your sports management team? This Mr. Lopez over at Top Shelf. Me and him, we're doing a little bit of work together, and you know, got a lot of promise out of this young company. And you know, the dude's been helping me quite a bit, lining up interviews and, you know, giving me all the info that I need. So, how did you link up with this management team?
Chris just hit me up on Instagram. He said that he like saw one of my fights. I don't know which fight he was at, but he was like, "Yeah, man. You know, I see a lot in you. If you want if you ever want to work together, I can get you fights and all that stuff." And I was like, at first I turned him down. I was like, nah, I don't really need a manager this early in my career. You know, I think I'll do okay with that one. But, you know, when I'm in the market, I'll definitely consider it. And so I was like trying to look for fights on my own, and I just couldn't get any fights on my own. Like I was reaching out to a bunch of people, sending emails, reaching out on Facebook, Instagram, and nobody would reply to me. And like, I don't know, like it was like really, really, really frustrating. And you know, my coaches, I know they have connections, and they would reach out to like the LFA and other organizations too, but nobody would get back. And it was kind of like a weird time too. Like MMA events were just starting out, so like, you know, it's not how it was now, or like, you know, there's a fight every single weekend. It's like, hey, we're gonna do this and see what happens, you know, and we may not even have another, you know, fight, you know, in the future. Who knows? There's a lot of uncertainty. So yeah, so then, you know, I kind of got frustrated, and I was just like, I hit Chris up. I was like, hey man, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to work with you. And then we just talked over the phone for a little bit, discussed what the goals were, what we both wanted from it, and he sent over the contract. I signed it, and now we're here. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know he gets guys opportunities left and right. So
Yeah,
even
he's a hard
though,
worker, dude.
yeah, even though his company is still very young, the guy is nonstop go go go. I still get texts from him like fucking 1 o'clock in the morning. Granted, I'm asleep still, but you know, I know that guy pretty much works 24/7. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see, you know, all his hard work is paying off. And that just goes back to, remember what I said about the guys in New York. If they see something like that means something, at least to me. And it's not even my fucking journey. I'm just the guy, you know, doing the fucking interview, and I'm just like, man, these guys can see it, but there is, you know, something about you. You know what I mean? This early in your career, there's usually not this much promise or this much glow or around a certain fighter. And the way that he was explaining you to me, obviously, it was hard for me to find your social media. We follow each other, and I couldn't find it, so I'm not as good at this shit as I thought. Okay, that's number one. So I got to work on my game, right? And second, like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that I'm starting to notice. You know what I mean? That these guys are, putting work into people that they believe in, and the reason why they believe in them. I mean, I'm learning firsthand on what you're all about. So we know you're a gangster. We know you're a dancer. We know you're undefeated. We know you're on the rise. We know you're a hot prospect. There's a lot to like about you, man.
No, thank you. Yeah.
And that's just MMA, bro.
Man,
You know what I mean? We haven't even got to what do you do in your free time when you're not training?
honestly, this is like pretty much all I do. I'm like, all in on it right now. But I teach at Easton Training Center, so I teach over there. And that's pretty much it, man. Not a whole lot else. Um, definitely want to pick up some hobbies. If my nickname is Tiny Dancer, I better learn how to fucking dance, right? So gonna have to look into some dance lessons for sure. And man, I love dancing actually. Like I love it. Any chance I can get to dance, I will. And that and just huge philosophy buff, man. Just reading up on brilliant people like Kierkegaard, Kant, Nietzsche, and all those guys. So that's like another thing that I like doing in my free time is just reading up on those guys, pondering some thoughts here and there, and that's pretty much it. But as of now, yeah, definitely all in on this, and this is like pretty much all I do right now. Yep.
So when you're taking a day off, you don't go hike, fishing, you don't do any of that shit?
When I take a day off, man, I just like to hang out by myself, just like chill. I will go on a hike here and there, but I much rather just be like, hanging out either at a coffee shop reading or like watching a movie at the house, or just decompressing and just like just sitting with myself. That's what I really enjoy. Yeah. Because
Okay.
lately it's just been like nonstop go 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 since I've got here to Denver. So any chance I can get to be alone, that's like that's awesome for me. Yeah.
Okay. Right on, right on. Well, I'm an avid hiker. It's currently like 100 and something outside, which is why I'm inside right now, because fuck all that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
avid fisher, but again, that's outdoors. Like I said, 100 and something. Fuck that, okay? But I mean, not everybody's the same. So it leads. I got two more for you. Okay, I got two more for you.
Yeah.
Now, nobody, absolutely nobody, comes on my show and doesn't answer this question. Are you ready for it?
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
All right. So over at AKA 16, okay, on June 25th, after they announce you the winner and you get your hand raised, what is going to be your post-fight victory meal? Go.
Oh man. Um, lasagna, man. I need to get some lasagna. I haven't had lasagna in forever, and I've been dying to have it. When I could eat it, even when I could eat it, I just didn't have the opportunity to grab some lasagna. So, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is look for like I don't know, some sort of like Italian restaurant either there, or maybe I'll just wait to get back home to Denver and go to an Italian restaurant here in Denver and fuck up some lasagna. Yeah, but I've been dying to eat some lasagna for sure, for sure.
You see, now I'm not a lasagna buff, but when the lasagna is good, the lasagna is good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. It doesn't even matter who. Yeah, lasagna is lasagna, bro. It's good no matter what. No matter who makes it, it's fucking good.
Okay. Okay. I can get down with that. And what are we having for dessert?
Oh man, dessert. A milkshake. Definitely a milkshake. It'd probably have to be some sort of like chocolate variation. Some sort of like chocolate milkshake. Yeah.
I
Definitely.
see. I'm down with that.
Yeah,
I'm a desserts guy, but my big thing right now is breakfast, and my wife totally understands this because I'll be like, "Hey, what are we having for dinner?" And she'll say breakfast. Sign me up. I can eat breakfast all day, every day. But desserts, man, desserts. I get down on desserts. I remember when I was a kid, I used to eat so much like dessert crap when they would have like potlucks and stuff. I would just eat all the desserts. Mousse, ice cream, fucking cake, brownies, cookies, and then I throwing up the next 3 days. You know what I mean? So I get down
What's
on
your favorite kind of dessert?
my favorite kind of dessert. You now you're asking me questions. Okay, I see how you're doing this. Let's see, my favorite dessert. That's a tough one. But I probably gotta say like just ice cream. I get down on ice cream. Trust me, we're not allowed to keep it in the house that often because I'll just eat the whole fucking tub.
Yeah, same. I'll fucking kill a whole tub of Bluebell ice cream. Oh my god. Yep.
I don't have to train. I don't have to cut weight. I don't have to worry about my figure. I'm a dad. Okay. I don't have to worry about shit. All I have to do is make sure I get up every day and breathe. That is it. So I have no obligations to my body whatsoever, and I treat it as such.
And I can't wait to live that life, man. I'll tell you that.
It has its drawbacks because you can't go out and do cool shit like some serious MMA training, but then again, I can go eat cheesecake whenever the fuck I want. So
yeah, that's it's almost better, man.
All right. Well, 100%. It's been a blast getting to know you. We went a little bit longer than I go with my interviews usually, but when the shit keeps rolling, we don't stop for nothing. So I really enjoyed having you on the show. It was a lot of fun. We got some laughs out of it, which is good. It's good for the soul. It's good for everything, right?
Definitely.
But I want to give you the opportunity to thank training partners, coaches, sponsors, your management team, whoever you'd like. Take the floor.
Oh man, so many people to thank. But first and foremost, I want to thank. First person that comes to mind is just my head coach, Valor Caballero. Thank him for being so kind to me when I first came in. He offered me a place to work, in his academy and stuff like that. And he didn't even know me. He just met me, and then we rolled like for 5 minutes, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to come work at my academy?" And he's pretty much set the path for me here in Denver. So huge thanks to Valor, man. Huge thanks to all my coaches who've been working with me, JD Hardwick, Peter Straub, man, like all the coaches over at Easton, Christian Allen, him, and then all my training partners, Taiwan Claxton, Banks, Carrington Banks, Corey Sandhagen, of course, Justin Wetzel, who just won a big fight in the LFA. So congratulations to him, man. He's a dog, man. He's a dog. He needs to be in the UFC, man. That guy, every time I spar with him, I'm like, fuck, man, no. That's everybody, but especially him. I'm just like, fuck. Josh Marsh. Man, everybody at Elevation Fight Team has been super cool to me, super welcoming, and I'm just like, forever grateful for those guys. So yeah.
100%. Yeah. Kudos to Mr. West. He's been on my show before, and I really like that kid. Glad to see him.
Yeah, he's dope, man. He deserves all the success in the world, man. Just getting to know him and hearing where he came from, and I think it's a Cinderella story, man. He really made the best out of his opportunities. So yeah, he's the man for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, he'll be seeing this, so he'll probably give you a nice overhand right for the compliments. You know what I'm saying?
If you can't even touch me.
Oh, sorry, dancing. Right on, man. Well, on June 25th, you'll be competing over at AKA 16. Up a weight class, gangster as fuck. Again, Tiny Dancer, Evan Arredondo, thank you very much for your time. I look forward to watching you fight and having you on my show again.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been a blast, man. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, cool. Later.